Should the Dodgers bring back Clayton Kershaw?
I would say 100% with a bullet. I think that there's certain players, Casey, that they're in rare air. They're sitting at the table with basically Jackie, Vin, Tommy Lasorda, Kirsch. I'm not even throwing out those names lightly, right? There's just some players that should get to determine their fate, that should get to write their ending. And I think that if he wants to pitch again, which if you heard him on AM 570, interviewed by Dave Vassay, it sounds like he wants to pitch again. Now, he's never had to deal with a major arm surgery recovery, dealing with his shoulder. We'll see how he responds. But if he's going to toe the slab for a Major League Baseball team again, it absolutely has to be the Dodgers. I don't care if you have to move Dallas to Los Angeles, right, and find some way to do it. But he has to finish his career with the Dodgers. Because in case, what I was saying was this. He kind of alluded to this in his interview with Dave Vassay, how he kind of doesn't want to go out the way he did. And, of course, his last start literally was statistically the worst start of his professional career. Gave up 6 runs, went just a third of an inning. If he goes to the Rangers, even if he has success, for Dodgers fans, it's always going to be his last start in Dodger blue. That's how. I'm not saying that's how he'll be remembered, because I think his legacy is absolutely cemented. He has nothing to prove to anyone. He's a walking statue, first ballot Hall of Famer. But if that's something that he's considering as far as that last start, unless he comes back with the Dodgers, I don't think that going with the Rangers is going to help that. But as far as where he fits in, of course, it's a very righty-heavy rotation at this point. Not too many options. They're not going to go after Blake Snell. You really haven't heard them mentioned in any Jordan Montgomery rumors or anything like that. Imanaga has been hinted at. So it makes you wonder if they go out there and go to
Luzardo.
Luzardo is another interesting name that we've been talking about. He's someone I'm actually higher on than some of the other guys, because of when you compare them to some of the other guys that are out there. Let's say you miss on a Yamamoto and then you're kind of exploring the trade market once again. Then I think you could be looking at a situation where you save a little bit of money and you'll look at, okay, let's add a lot of depth to this rotation. You know, guys are inevitably going to be injured at some point. You got Walker Buehler on a pitch limit. So I definitely think that he's a name that I would strongly consider if I were the Dodgers. And as far as Kershaw goes, I would like to see him back on some sort of a 2-year deal. Yeah. It doesn't put pressure on him to come back next year. Because let's be honest, that Instagram post, very optimistic, but he's never dealt that injury. We saw Blake trying to deal with his shoulder injury. Until they're back on the mound, until they started throwing, you just never know. But I don't care if it's one more start. I would need to see Clayton Kershaw end his career with the Dodgers the right way. And look, I mean, this team, Casey, let's be honest. You've watched baseball your whole life. You coached baseball, broadcasted baseball. This next year's version of the Dodgers, they could go down as one of the all-time teams. We're talking Murderers Row Yankees, the Reds of the 70s, right? The Indians of the 50s. I mean, of course, they didn't win a World Series, but those teams that you just remember the players in the moments, and I think Kershaw would love to be a part of that.
So I've kind of mentioned this is a little bit outside the box, but you don't have any 40-man spots right now, and I think the advantage that Clayton Kershaw gives the Dodgers is that when you get to spring training and you actually then have the ability to put Dustin May and Tony Gonsolin on the 60-day, that then clears 2 spots on the 40-man. I think you could possibly wait until then to sign Clayton Kershaw. And also, I think the Dodgers are the one team that could offer him the role that he's actually capable of performing in right now. Is that too outside the box?
No, absolutely. I mean, we've seen the Dodgers manipulate the 60-day. We've seen them manipulate the IL for years. And I think that when it comes strategically doing that, knowing that you're not going to get Dustin May back until the end of next summer, you're going to be out a Tony Gonsolin. If they want to find a way to get Kirsch back in this organization so he can rehab through their programs and their trainers, Dr. Neil Elitrot's the same boost that was for Ohtani is probably going to be a boost for Kirsch, right? So I truly believe he wants to continue his playing career. It's going to be with the Dodgers. Also think, too, as far as you were saying, putting him in where he needs to be, look, they're not going to ask him to be their game 1, 2, or even 3 starter, right? He's going to come back in a greatly reduced role, right? And I think that he needs to sit down with Dave Roberts and have a clear-cut conversation and say, look, you're not going to rewrite the history of my career, right? The narrative is the narrative. I fear Dave Roberts a little bit in this situation where Kershaw finds a way back. Do you throw him out there in a situation? No, all that's over, right? All that is done. It's more about just him coming back almost on a ceremonial level. And look, the reality is when he was healthy last season, he still was the Dodgers' best pitcher.
Yeah.
All the numbers back that up, right? And if he can get anywhere close to that and be effective, I think it'd be great. We'll say this, though, just the pride of Clayton Kershaw, I just can't picture him taking a role where it's a crazy diminished role, right? I just don't anticipate that. The greats like that, they know when it's gone, they're going to be gone. So I wouldn't be surprised if you just hung them up.